Hi, my name is Senzo Kaba. I'm a lecturer at Kangala TVET College under engineering and related design. So today I'll be giving you lessons on fitting and turning level 3. So our topic for today, it will be brakes and clutches, but we'll start with the brakes. So understanding brake system, they say you will learn about the functions, the working principles, and as well as the application of different types of brake system. You will also learn some terminologies related to brakes as well as advantages and disadvantages of the brakes. Okay, function of brake systems. They say a brake system or a brake is a device operated by electromagnetic, hydraulic, air pressure, and mechanical means. They say in all these cases, the basic principle of operation is the same. Okay. Then purpose of a brake. The purpose of a brake is that brake stop the vehicle or the machine within a certain distance or time period. It also, another purpose of a brake system, they say it stops the vehicle or the machine in an emergency. It keeps the vehicle or the machine stationary on a slope, and it also slows down the speed of the vehicle or a machine. So these are the purposes of the brake. Okay, then we have different types of brake, but in this case, in fitting level 3, we only talk about 4 types of brakes. The number 1 type of a brake, we have a disc brake, a drum brake, thruster brake, and as well as electromagnetic brake. So we are only looking at 4 types of brake on this fitting level 3. Okay, then we have working principles for brake. All brakes, they have their own working principle. So now the working principle of a disc brake, they say a brake pedal is pushed down to start the braking movement. So the pedal is attached to the piston in the hydraulic or a master cylinder. Then when you push the pedal, the piston pushes against the fluid in the cylinder. Then the fluid then falls through in the brake pipelines and presses against the piston in the brake caliper, which forces the brake pedal against the disc plate. So this causes the vehicle or the machine to slow down. So this is the working principle of a disc brake. Then main components of a disc brake. Then a disc brake consists of the following components. Number 1, it's a brake disc that is attached to the shaft. 2, it's a pistons which is fitted in the brake calipers. It also has, or it consists a brake caliper which fits over the brake disc, and it also has brake pads that are attached on both sides of the caliper. So these are the main components of the disc brake, or you call it a brake disc. Then applications now of the disc brake. Where is it applicable? They say disc brakes are used in cars, the small vehicles, motorcycles, rail vehicles, and some aeroplanes. So this is the type of a brake that we're talking about there. Then working principle of now a drum brake. They say a brake pedal, this is the working principle of a drum brake. They say a brake pedal is pushed down to start the braking movement. The pedal is attached to a system in the hydraulic or master cylinder. When you push on the pedal, the piston pushes against the fluid in the cylinder, then the fluid is then forced into the brake cylinder, and the pressure pushes the pistons against the brake shoes, which pushes them against the inside surface of the brake drum. Then this will cause the car to slow down, or the machine to slow down. Then main components of a drum brake. Drum brake consists of the following. It's a backing plate which is attached to the axle. Then we have a brake shoes that are attached to the braking plates. Then we have a brake drum which fits over the brake shoes. We also have a wheel cylinder, which is a cylinder with the two pistons. That is a wheel cylinder. Then we have a return spring which is attached to the brake shoe. And lastly, we have an emergency brake system which is attached to the brake shoe. And also we have an adjusting device which is attached to the brake shoe. Then applications of a drum brake. They say drum brakes are used in heavy duty trucks, some medium trucks, motor vehicles, and as well as dirt bikes. Then working principle now of an electromagnetic brakes. Remember we said we have only 4 types of brake. Electromagnetic brake stop the drum from unwinding when there is no electric current. Then the spring push the brake shoes against the shaft so that it cannot turn. When electric current flow, the electromagnetic solenoid pulls in the levers. Then these levers push back the spring and the brake shoe opens so that one shaft can turn. As soon as the electric current stops flowing, the solenoid loses its magnetic force. Then the spring then pulls the shoe's brake against the shaft. So when there is a power failure, the electromagnetic brake system operates automatically. So this is the working principle of an electromagnetic brake. So the components of electromagnetic brake, they say it consists of brake shoes which are connected to the levers. Then we have a spiral spring that is connected to 2 levers as well. An electromagnetic solenoid which is connected to 2 levers. Then applications of electromagnetic brakes. This type of a brake, they are used in cranes, trains, and as well as electric motors and robotic application. This is the type of a brake that we're talking about. Okay, working principle of thruster brakes. An electric motor drives the hydraulic centrifugal pump, which in turn applies the force to the piston to push it up. The raised piston pushes the braking spring apart, which keeps the brakes with their friction pads open. When the electricity switches off, the springs automatically closes and pushes the friction pads against the brake disc to apply the brake. So this is the working principle of the thruster brake. Then main components of the thruster brake. It consists the hydraulic centrifugal pump, which is connected to the thruster piston. It consists the thruster pistons, which is connected to the pump, that is the vice versa of the hydraulic pump with the thruster piston. Both are connected to each other. Then a braking spring which is connected to the piston. Then we have friction pads and as well as a brake disc. So applications of a thruster brakes, where is it used? Thruster brakes are used in marine industries, crane travels drives, and as well as elevators with escalators and the lifting bridge. Then advantages now and disadvantages of the disc brake. Remember we said we have 4 types of brakes, that is a disc, drum, electromagnetic, and as well as the thruster. So brakes as well, they also have advantages and disadvantages. So advantages of a disc brake, they say, number 1, they are self-adjusting. Number 2, even when they are wet, it can still work. It remains effective. Wear can be easily seen without dismantling the brake. You can easily see wear on this type of a brake. So then the disadvantages of disc brakes are they say it wear more quickly because of small friction surface. They are sometimes noisy, these types of brakes, and you have to remove the brake when replacing the wheel bearing. So when you are replacing the wheel bearing on a car, the disadvantage of a disc brake is that you have to remove the whole brake system. Then advantages and disadvantages of drum brakes. Advantages now, they say it is a very compact system. Adjustments for lining wear take place automatically, and if there is wear, we can adjust the shoe by means of adjusting screw. So these are the advantages of a drum brake. Disadvantages, they say dust and what is not easily thrown off from within the dust and what is not easily thrown off from within the brakes. Drum cannot dissipate large amount of heat rapidly, and it can easily expand excessively if it becomes too hot. So those are the disadvantages of the drum brake. Now, advantages and disadvantages of electromagnetic brake. Advantages, they say it is a fast response system, which means electricity, if it cuts off immediately, the brake it starts up. The brake applies immediately if there is failure. Disadvantages, in the case of power failure, the system becomes ineffective. The system depends on the flow of electric current to operate. Then advantages and disadvantages of thruster brake. They say advantages, the system aligns itself during operation. It needs a very little power, can be mounted and dismounted easily wherever it is used. So this is the advantage of a thruster brake. Then the disadvantages, they say compatible steel discs are required. Brake pads must be inspected regularly for wear, and there is a loss of braking efficiency if the brake pads overheats. So these are the advantages and disadvantages of brakes. Then now we move to clutches. Remember our topic is brakes and clutches. Clutches, the function of a clutch. They say a function of a clutch is a mechanical part that connects a drive shaft and a driven shaft in such a way that the connection can easily be engaged and disengaged. This is the main function of a clutch. Then what is the purpose of a clutch? A clutch, it provides a misalignment of a shaft. Number 2, it reduces the transmission of shock load from one shaft to another. Number 3, it introduces the protection against overload to alter the vibration characteristics of rotating units to provide, and as well as to provide for connection of shaft of units that are manufactured separately. So these are the purposes of a clutch, or the function of or the use of a clutch. Then we have different types of clutch. Clutch number one that we have a single plate clutch. Then we have a multi-plate clutch. We have a fixed weight centrifugal clutch. We have a loss weight centrifugal clutch. We have a cone clutch, and as well as torque limiter clutch. So these are all the types of a clutch that we will be seeing on this chapter of brakes and clutches for fitting level 3. So let's start with the single plate clutch. They say it consists of the following components. Number one, a single plate clutch, it have two flanges. Those two flanges are connected to the drive shaft and as well as the driven shaft. We have a fiber ring which is fitted to the flange on the driven shaft, and we have a helical spring which is fitted to the driving or to the driven shaft. Then we have a clutch lever that is fitted to the driven shaft. So these are the components of the single plate clutch. Where do we apply, or where do we use, or where to find this type of a clutch? We find it on turbo engines and as well as medium drives such as motor vehicles. Then we have a multi-plate clutch. This one, it consists of the following components: a pressure plate, a driven plate, a releaser bearing, a clutch fork, a housing. Then where do we use this type of a clutch? You find it on road vehicles and as well as motor bikes. Then we have a fixed weight centrifugal clutch. It consists of the components. Component number one, it's a drum. Component number two, it's a spring which is fitted to the slippers. Then we have a slippers, you can also call them shoes, star wheels or spiders, drive shaft as well. So it consists of these main components. Then where do we use this type of fixed weight centrifugal clutch? They are used on lawn mowers and as well as chain saws. Then we have a loose weight centrifugal clutch. It consists of the following components: a drum or a pulley, a slipper which is fitted to the star wheel, slipper, keep plates, or you can, slippers are also called most shoes, or you can call it a shoe keeper plate, a star wheel which is connected to the drive shaft and the drive shaft as well. Then where do we find this type of a clutch? On lawn mowers, that's where we find it, and as well as mini motorbikes. Then we have a cone clutch. A cone clutch consists of the following: one, an outer cone which is keyed to the driven shaft. Then it also consists of an inner cone which is keyed to the driving shaft. Sometimes an examiner will say, instead of outer cone, we'll say maybe it's a female cone, inner it's a male cone, or they will call it a spigot or recessor cone. A spiral spring, that is also a component for the cone clutch. Operating lever which is engaging and disengaging the cone. Then where do we use, or where do we find the cone clutch? We find them on automobiles, powertrains, and as well as off-road vehicles. Then we have a torque limiter clutch. The clutch automatically reset once overload has been cleared. So where do we apply this type of clutch? We apply it on conveyor systems as well as food processing unit. Then disadvantages and advantages of a single plate clutch. They say advantages: engagement is possible when the machine is in motion. It can act as a safety device in the event of overloading by slipping. Then the disadvantages is that slip occurs as a result of heavy loads, and slip occurs between the engaging surface, which results in wear. So these are the advantages and disadvantages of a single plate clutch. Advantages of a multi-plate clutch. Advantages: they say it can be used where space is limited, a large torque can be transmitted. Disadvantages: the initial cost of a clutch is higher, and the number of surfaces on which slip can occur is increased. Then advantages now of a fixed weight centrifugal clutch. They say engagement is possible while the machine is in motion. The load is applied gradually. Then the disadvantages of a fixed weight is that slips occur with heavy loads, and slip occur with high torque. Then disadvantages and advantages of a loss weight centrifugal. Advantages of it: they say engagement is possible while the machine is in motion. The load is applied gradually. Then the disadvantages: slip occurs with heavy loads, and slip occurs with a high torque or high power. Then advantages of a cone clutch is that engagement is possible while the machine is in motion. Minimal force is required to keep the parts in contact. Then the disadvantages of a cone clutch is that slip occurs between the engaging surfaces, which results to wear. And then advantages and disadvantages of a torque limiter. The advantages: they say it provides accurate overload protection. Torque settings remain constant. Then the disadvantages is that resetting torque limiting clutch sometimes requires manual to reset. So you must have a manual of this type of a clutch to reset the torque. So that is the big disadvantages, or the big disadvantage of a torque limiter. There is another disadvantage, is that at high speed location, the heat developed when the clutch slips during wear life and performance. So these are the advantages and disadvantages of our clutch. Now we have to plan and prepare for brake and clutch maintenance. What is it that we must do? They say after you have planned the work, you need to make sure that the machine is switched off. Before doing any maintenance on brakes and clutches, you make sure that your machine is switched off. I'm talking about from the powers, from the main source to the machine. Make sure that is off. Follow all the results of switching off and disconnect the machine for your own safety and fellow workers. Clean and inspect assembly in order to see where the problem lies, and begin by identifying the linings and scar marks on the friction surface. So that is how we plan and prepare for brakes and clutches maintenance. Read and interpret the job card. Before working on brakes and clutches, you need to get a job card from the supervisor. The job card should indicate the name and the number of the machine that you will be doing that particular maintenance. Also provide details for previous work done on the machine. What did they do? What was the problem on that machine before you do a current maintenance. Understand all instruction and requirements on the job card. Understand what is the job, talk to the job card is what they're saying to you here. Ask your supervisor if there is anything you do not understand. And lastly, carry out all instruction on the job card according to the regulations in the Occupational Health and Safety Act of 85 of 1993. Then, now obtain relevant documents. Before working on brakes and clutches, obtain previous record of the machine. The document includes the maintenance schedule, the manufacturer's manual, and as well as the engineering drawing of the machine. Interpret engineering drawings. How to interpret engineering drawings? You collect the engineering drawing for the specific machine. This may take a full view, a full view, a half section, and a full sectional drawing. Study the drawing to find out where the brakes and clutches are located on the machine. That is how you interpret the drawing. Tools that we may need for maintenance or when we are repairing brakes and clutches are G-clamps, Allen keys, soft face hammers, and hydraulic jacks with flat and star screwdrivers, and as well as a vice grip with a torque wrench. Then equipments that we need for repairing or when we are doing maintenance on brakes and clutches, we need micrometers, vernier calipers, ohmmeters, filler gauges to measure the gap, dial test indicators to check our the roundness of the shafts, lubricant with specifications, and as well as the braking fluid. For further questions, please go to Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and WhatsApp. I thank you.